Halloween
forever.
Meg, you're gonna like this joke. I can tell already. So, did you guys hear about the guy that was in the hospital? They found 6 plastic horse statues up his asshole.
Nope.
Did you guys hear about that?
Nope.
It was crazy. The doctors are reporting his condition as stable.
Hey-o.
Welcome, boys and girls, to another fucking Minisode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Meg.
I'm Steve. Brian actually got me with that one. I like that one.
Good.
I feel like it wasn't also like relevant to like the episode.
Yeah, the horses.
Like,
There's
no,
this
it was
movie,
relevant to me and me
guys,
alone.
Well, no, the movie. There's this. I mean, the horse score in this movie is through the roof.
Okay, yes, 10 out of 10 horses. They get 10 out of 10 horses. Yes.
Yeah, horse score on this one, guys. If you're new to the show, if there are horses present, or if we're talking about multiple movies and at least one of them has horses present, we do score them on a scale of 1 to 10 horses. This is a 10 horse movie for
10
sure.
horse movie.
It's fucking dripping with horses.
It's got real horses. It's got fake horses. It's got horses on film.
It has. I mean, the only thing it doesn't have is little mini horses. That's the only thing I missed.
Yeah.
I wish it did have some little mini horses. But the movie we're talking about, guys, is the newly released, I think it's safe to say, blockbuster film that is Jordan Peele's Nope. If you have not seen Nope, which just came out here in the last couple of weeks now. It's been a couple of weeks now.
It came out at the end of July.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, some other.
Yeah. So in any case, if you have not seen it, get ready because we got some motherfucking spoiler alerts. We're going to spoil the shit up out this bitch. But before we do that, we do have some other things that we got to talk about, guys. It's officially late August. Like if we think about it, the month is halfway over.
Late.
If you're listening to this, really anywhere from like Tuesday on, it's mid-October. I'm sorry, it's technically late October. If you're listening to it on Monday, the day it comes out, I guess it is technically exactly halfway through October.
August.
In any case, yeah. What did I say? October?
You said October 3 times in a row because that's where your brain is.
That's where my brain is. I'm literally drinking Oktoberfest. I drank a pumpkin beer yesterday. I have a fresh bag of candy corn and mallow cream pumpkins cracked.
Do you just like stockpile candy corn to eat it throughout the year? Like I feel like I could just
as soon as it hits. As soon as it hits because I like it fresh.
Oh,
like
I don't think that's actually a word that's ever associated with candy corn.
It is
ever
because it gets stale very, very quickly. It's like if you have a bag of it open for a period of time, it gets all nice and not nice, but it gets all kind of dry.
I like candy corn when it's a little bit stale, though. I mean, I do like candy corn, so let's be real.
Yeah. No, I just bought my first. It usually hits stores right around my birthday every year, which was yesterday, which we're recording this on Sunday, the day before it comes out. My birthday was yesterday, which is Saturday, August the 13th. And usually by my birthday or the week before is when you start to see a little bit of spooky shit going into the store. And candy corn was there, and I snatched it up, took it home. Where my kids and I were mixing it with peanuts and with little peanut butter chocolate chips. That's a good move. Yeah, it was my birthday yesterday, so I just drank Oktoberfest and pumpkin beers all day. That's what I do.
Sounds like. I feel like maybe, just maybe, I don't like that stuff. I've seen it and I've passed over, but. Maybe just maybe with a little Muddy Buddy Check mix and peanut butter chips to cut the
sweetness.
I just like
just to cut that.
Shocked,
I might be into
Steve.
that.
I'm just so shocked with all the bullshit that you drink. I'm just like surprised you just don't like candy corn or something like
if you melted candy corn into a beer, he would drink it. But
probably
if it's So I'll tell you, if the intense sweetness of candy corn is in opposition to your palate, mix it with just some roasted salted peanuts. The sweet and the salty. Very
Next
nice.
trail mix I make. Yeah, it'll be
nice.
candy corn and
Pop it in there. Pop it in there. Don't be scared. Pop it in there. You're gonna be real happy about it.
Let's start a new business, and we're definitely gonna cater to the people who like to hike and stuff. But we're gonna make a Halloween trail mix.
See, there's not a lot of crossover there. The Halloween
but
fans
what about me?
are sloths like me.
No, I'm not.
That's fine, but you're like one anecdotal. That does not make it an audience.
There's more people. I know plenty of people who would probably want to go on a walk and want to go on a hike that would probably want some trail mix, guys. Maybe you're the anomaly.
I love to hike.
This right. You're the anomaly.
No. You're talking yourself into something here. And I like to hike and that sort of thing. I like to go on a nice hike, go on a nice walk, smoke some drugs, walk in the woods. That's a lovely thing. But not so much that I need to pack a special snack. I'm going to eat before I go. I'm not going for like 8 hours of hiking.
Type.
See, you're one of those people like you don't have to be so serious about it. I don't own any
serious.
I don't own any hiking equipment, and I can hike definitely just as good as you. And I own 0.0 hiking equipment. I'll go out there with my Chucks on. We'll hike all day. It'll be fine. Some people just
but not tomorrow, but not the next day, dude.
What do you
not
mean?
your feet are gonna hurt. Back's gonna be sore. Let's be real, dude. Just get a pair of hiking shoes.
Like
That's
special hiking things.
No, just get a pair of hiking shoes. That's
I
it.
have a pair of Merrells.
Yeah, there you go. See, you do have the equipment. You wouldn't have worn your Chucks. You would have put on your Merrells, and we would have gone for a hike.
Because when I walk outside, because they're waterproof. Yeah, that's basically why.
Exactly. See, you are prepared, Brian. Don't fight me on this. You're just trying to find ways to hate me,
guys. I like no, not you particularly. I do very much am annoyed by the amount of hiking equipment that's out there. It is so lame. The whole thing about hiking is you don't need anything to do it. That's the best part of it.
You don't. Yeah, no. Yeah. I have hiking shoes.
And then I go to like Brush Creek Park, which the entire circle is like 4 miles. And I see people out there like they're going to be like they're going out in the fucking
with the poles and stuff. See, I don't even do the poles. Like
they're out there like they're on the fucking Appalachian Trail, and I'm like, guys, I can see the road from here. And they're like, fucking dorks.
Maybe they're training, Brian.
No, they're just fucking dorks.
I just play disc golf to get my hiking in now these days.
Yeah. You really jumped into that disc golf culture.
I hadn't played in like almost 10 to 13 years. And then one of my buddies was like, he saw my discs in my car because I was like, I'm gonna keep them just in case. And then we just started playing all the time. Like we were going almost every week. And then we took a few weeks.
Do you play on horseback?
That's not how that works, Brian. But I would if I could.
But it could.
Yeah, I'm sure
you
people
can't
do
though,
that.
because there's a technique to fucking throwing a disc, guys. Like, we're not gonna get into this. We're not gonna. No.
You're saying I couldn't do it? Is this a challenge? Because I will absolutely fucking do it on horseback. Because you only need one horse. You only need one horse to ride a horse. That's.
I think that's hurt your back a lot. Honestly,
you only need one arm to hold onto the reins. So you got another hand for throwing a frisbee.
But there's more technique to it, Brian. If you wanna go into it, like come play this
but
golf
it's like
with me.
the thing. It's like that thing in the Olympics. Don't
bring horses into something that we don't need to bring horses into. That rules my life.
Are you saying
elsewhere.
Don't bring horses to a frisbee fight?
Yeah.
I'm saying don't bring horses to a hiking conversation, which is even farther off the conversation that we should be having.
Yeah, that's true. Let's get into. Well, actually, before we do it, we got a couple of things we got to talk about. What kind of movies? Jesus Christ! What kind of beers are we drinking here, guys? My brain's broke. My brain's broke.
Yeah, you got that. You got old man, dementia.
I'm so fucking tired, too. Jesus Christ. Been drinking beers. I'm sleepy. I'll tell you what I'm drinking, though, because I only got about this much left, and I'm going to finish it. This is classic Paulaner Oktoberfest Märzen.
Looks beautiful.
Yep, just
beautiful.
Drinking a little Paulaner. That's one of my, as far as the big breweries are concerned, the big German breweries are concerned, Eyinger, not that big, I guess, technically, but they're my favorite. They do like the real old school Munich heavy Märzen. Some of the other ones are just like really fucking lame. It's just like hot, stronger Helles with fucking Cinnamar in it. But I do like Hacker Shores. I don't know exactly what the grist looks like, but I've always been a fan of this beer, and I'll slug a couple down.
I still haven't had my first Oktoberfest yet, but I need to find them. I'm just slugging down some Iron City premium lager, yo. I have not actually gone to a store probably in a couple weeks, so I need to like stock up on some beer. But like, yeah, I just like started working again. So guys, I'm a working gal again. So I'm slacking, but I got some good Iron City beer, and
I got
I'm happy about it.
whole bunch of Oktoberfests yesterday. So I've been working my damn way through those.
You just gotta put a little care package in the mail for me. Thanks. I trust your judgment.
What do you got, Steve? You're not drinking the beers.
No, I like Meg. I'm also drinking water. So
I would have gone along with that as icy light, So I'm gonna say this one has some flavor. Okay, so
yeah. But I almost died at Barrel and Flow, so I'm taking it easy today.
You went a little hard. You hit it hard.
I hit it hard. Revolution showed up with a 14% stout.
Yep.
There was a place from Georgia called the Brick Terrarium that tried to kill everybody because they had a 21% Braggot, a 20% IPA,
Barf.
and a 25% Red Ale.
Barf.
That's insane.
Were any of them good at all, or were they just like novel?
The Braggot was great.
Were they
the
like
Braggot was
super
great.
sweet as well, or?
So the Braggot, well, yeah, they were all super sweet. Yeah, they were all super sweet. Like the Red Ale was just like syrup.
Oh,
I don't know how they. Yeah, like I assume the grain bill had to be huge, and then there's just like a whole lot of fermented sugar in it because it was just so sweet.
Well, at that point, if you're not ice distilling, and maybe that's what they were doing or something like that,
maybe
they're or finishing with champagne yeast, which is going to just dry it out so bad and have all these fucking super high molecular weight alcohols, you're going to get a fucking headache. Otherwise, Saccharomyces strains, they don't live up in that ABV range. So they're going to die, and you're going to have a lot of residual carbohydrates there unless, like I said, I don't know, use a bunch of enzymes, or you fucking use champagne yeast, or there's ice distillation is the most common thing people do to make, those fucking high teens, 20%, ABV beers. But
right.
Yuck.
Yeah. But yeah, I will give a shout out to their pineapple ginger Braggot though, just because it had like a lot of big pineapple flavor up front, but then they actually captured a lot of the ginger, so it tasted almost like eating raw ginger after like sushi.
I like that.
Yeah.
I feel like you put like anyone in it actually captures a really nice ginger flavor and not something that's a little more earthy, because I think sometimes like some of the flavorings you can add like kind of bring that into the fold. But yeah, no, I'll fuck with some ginger in a beer, beer or an alcohol, man, any day.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Oh yeah, dude.
All right. Well, I hope you recover fully from all these 20% braggots and things like that. But I just want to say that I also have no sympathy for you, because you knew what you were getting yourself into.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I did it to myself. It's my one time a year that I actually get drunk. So
just get hammered, blasted.
When I saw you, Steve, though, you were just like, "What? I didn't even. You said you weren't going to be here," and I'm just like, "Yeah, bud. It was great. It was a good surprise. I like pickle surprise."
Well, yeah, because you come running out of the crowd screaming.
I was kind of screaming. I don't think this person listens to the show, but there's a show, the weekly recap. So so I saw Sarah at near the porta potties. And I just screamed at her and then ran to a bathroom. I gave her a hug real fast and then ran to the bathroom. And I had to message her today. I'm like, I'm sorry. I just saw you and screamed, came and hugged you, and then walked away immediately. If that tells you how drunk I actually was.
Yeah. I think Nick might listen. So
yeah, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Shout out to them. They're great.
Know.
They're awesome people.
Shit gets wild and wacky at the Barrel and Flow. We all know this. In any case, we do have to talk about what our September Showdown topic is going to be. If you guys are not familiar with the calendar, September happens right after August. Then right after that is October. And September for me, that's full on spooky season already. Pretty much right now is when spooky season starts, which is right around my birthday, which is 8/13, which we just passed here. And then just the rest of it's all gravy, really, for the rest of the year. So September's a big one. I will recap what we had to vote on, which was our favorite Erie, Indiana episodes, Satanic Panic, or Giallo flicks. And for those of you who are wondering, well, how the hell do I get in on this sweet little voting gig? I didn't see nothing about that. Well, open your fucking ears, guys. I'm about to tell you how you do it. Go on the social medias and you follow Halloween is Forever, most notably on the Instagram at Halloween is Forever, or at Hallow Forever, at the Twitters. That's where we typically put the polls out there. We'll link to them on Facebook, which is Halloween is Forever podcast. We also have one of them TikTokies, which is Halloween is Forever pod. Or if you want to suggest some things to us, I guess if you wanted to email us your vote, you certainly could, but I don't know, what's your fucking problem? Get on one of the social medias. It's Halloween is Forever pod at gmail.com. So without further ado, our winner, maybe not surprising from those topics, two of them were kind of niche topics. It's Satanic Panic, guys. So we're getting into September and we are praising His Infernal Majesty. We're going to have a seance. We're going to sacrifice someone or something. And we're going to get into some full-on satanic horror flicks. Now, we have suggested in the past, when we actually pulled this off the old spinny wheel, that we're talking specifically satanic horror. We're not just talking any old demon, right? We're talking about the big guy, Lucifer, right? Satan himself. Yeah. Right.
None of them scrubs. None of them none of those low tier demons.
None of them bullshit demons that your aunt, buries something in the yard to ward off or something. We're talking about the big guy, the one that you can't fight off. He's going to come into your life and he's going to make it way, 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 way better or worse if you're a bitch. So get on the satanic train, guys. Hail him and help us pick some movies that are satanic in nature, or somebody is battling Satan or some shit like that, guys. We'll announce next week our picks for Satanic Panic, but if you got any suggestions, definitely spit them our way in the DMs on the social medias.
Let's be real, you're only giving those suggestions to Brian and Steve. No, fucking send them to me too.
You can do it on the TikTok. All 6 people who follow us on TikTok.
I see you. I see what you're trying to do. I see what you're doing right now.
But
you're just coming at the
hold up. Hold up. I don't understand where this is coming from, Meg, that she's saying that only Brian and I get the suggestions she's the one that out there got her audience to vote for her.
It's Meg it's Martyr Meg. Again, here she is. Oh, she's always getting around to the deal. Meanwhile, she's out there fucking campaigning and winning the fucking showdown for last month.
Man, you guys are salty.
I'm not going to be taken in by this.
We don't even need salted nuts in this trail mix for this Halloween trail night. He's got you
You're
guys.
a fucking salted nut. Anyway, so give us some of them dang suggestions on there on the old social media. Maybe we'll watch them, see what we're going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a couple in mind, but I'm like, usually I go like, yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to go do. Maybe it's down to 1 or 2, maybe 3. I have no idea what I'm going to do on this one. I have a couple that I want to kind of revisit and we'll think about.
I think you're up for blood. So I feel like usually when you're like, I don't care about winning this, that's when you're like feel super confident. You're like, I don't even need to like look at other options.
Yeah, because I'm just picking shit that I want.
Yeah, you want. Yeah, you want. Yeah. So now
but I want to win this one.
You want
to
win.
This is like the playoffs, and then October's like the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Horror. These next couple months are pretty clutch. You know.
Yeah. So if you want to help us decide those in the future, or if you have any suggestions or things like that, send them to us on the social medias. Actually, this just reminded me, I need to send out some stickers this week because we had a couple of lovely listeners who reviewed us on Apple Podcasts and or Spotify. So I'm going to send out some stickers to them this week. If you want to do that, if you want some Halloween is Forever stickers, or you just want to be a fucking decent human being for once in your fucking life, go on to the the podcatcher app of your choice, whether it's Apple Podcasts or whether it's Spotify or whatever. If they allow you to do a little rating and write a review, give us the maximum amount of stars or, skulls or hearts or whatever the fuck type of little icon they use there, and then type a little message in there and say, hey, that's all, you guys did a great job, yay. And then screenshot it, send it to us, or you know what, I don't even have to screenshot it, I trust you, just say, hey, I wrote a review, send me some stickers and your address, and I'll fucking put them in the mail for you.
Or if you own a pizza shop, let us know, and you can put them up in your pizza shop.
Some friends from what was the name of the pizza shop? We'll give them a shout out.
It was a pizza shop out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Here, I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, they're faithful listeners, and they reached out to us and they said, hey, can we just put some stickers up around the shop? And everybody can. So you walk in, you see Halloween Forever on the cash register, maybe.
Can they like make us a pumpkin pizza?
Ooh, you know what? I'm sure they're this is shout out here to our friends at Pizza Nerds in Newark, Ohio, on beautiful Cherry Valley Road. I'm sure we're all very familiar with beautiful Cherry Valley Road in Newark. Go check them out. I think it's like, I don't know. I think it's in like somewhere in the middle of the state. I have to double check. I don't know exactly where Newark is, but some lovely friends over there at Pizza Nerds in Ohio.
I like their name a lot, but I do just have to say, cool, like, why are we not coming after the pumpkin pizza? Fuck the heart pizza. Mm-hmm. Give me the pumpkin pizza. Thank you.
I say we go full Satan pizza.
Hey,
hell yeah.
Actually, guys,
spicy.
Why are they not creating some sort of candy corn shaped fucking pizza?
They make a bunch of cookies
corn
too.
On it.
They seem to specialize in all manner of yummy cookies as well. Ooh. So maybe a candy corn type of cookie, but I'm going straight up Diablo pizza. We go straight satanic pizza where we make it all spicy and just like it looks like a fucking murder scene. You know what I mean?
Ghost pepper sauce.
Pentagram.
Habanero.
Pepperonis and a pentagram.
My body already is rejecting every ounce of that.
Yeah.
I like it in theory, but my body is already telling me no. My body's telling me
no. Fuck with a pizza like that. Yes. So in any case, if you want a little shout out or you want some stickers or whatever, send us one of them things over on one of the social medias and we'll happily do that. All right, guys, let's get into a little flicky that we watched called Nope, written and directed by one Mr. Jordan Peele, which spoiler alerts here, guys. Guy keeps knocking it out of the fucking park, though, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He does not play around, it seems.
Yeah, he don't lose.
No, that motherfucker don't miss.
He plays to win, and he wins. He won my heart years ago.
This was such a fun, weird movie. I'm so glad I went in just, obviously I saw some screen grabs and stuff like that, but otherwise I went in like completely blind and was just so pleased with just how fucking wild this movie got. Let's first talk about some of the players here and some of the cast. So many of you may already know Daniel Kaluuya is the star of this here flick,
sexiest
along
man
with
ever
Keke
in
Palmer.
Film right now. Let's be real.
Good looking man. Let's not fucking rub it in. But he is from Get Out. I mean, you know him from Get Out for sure, right? He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's been in Judas and the Black Messiah, Queen and Slim. He was in Black Panther. You're gonna know him, know his face. He's great in this. Almost, I don't want to say overshadowed, but so he plays O.J. Hayward or Otis J. Hayward Jr., which I thought was very funny that they made his initials O.J.
They did make some O.J. jokes, which
and then
great.
even at one point, like one of the people were like, "Your name's O.J.?" Like he's like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like he's been dealing with that his whole life. His dad is Otis J. Hayward Sr., and he's played by the great Keith David, who everyone will know from perhaps the greatest sci-fi horror flick of all time, which is The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. And then Keke Palmer plays OJ's sister, Emerald Hayward, who she kind of almost steals the show. She's fantastic in this. Not only is she kind of the she's a serious character, but she has all the good jokes, I would say, for the most part.
Right.
I think she like her character brings just like a lot of the personality that
she's
OJ's
the
character just like naturally
sibling.
does. But like their characters are just so starkly different, and this
Yes.
is very clear throughout the movie. So
yeah, OJ is the stoic one. Emerald is the she's the charismatic one, as is made very, very clear early in the flick. We also have Brandon Perea, I believe is the way you say his name, who plays Angel Torres, who is like the Geek Squad guy who becomes like entangled in this whole
He's
thing.
like, my life is so boring. Your life sounds interesting. This sounds amazing. Let's
really
fucking go.
when you first meet him, you hate him immediately. They make you hate him, and then you think he's just going to be a dickhead that they like have an interaction with. But then he becomes like a big part of the movie, which I did not see coming.
He's like the sidekick. He feels like a sidekick the entire time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, good supporting role there. Steven Yeun, who we just talked about in Mayhem, or Steven Yeun, I think is the way you say it. And he plays a character named Jupe, which is kind of an interesting character. And then a bunch of other people. I think probably the last really notable one there is Michael Wincott, who is plays this weird kind of super artsy director who kind of is like a Werner Herzog-ish type of character, maybe, called Antlers Holst.
Like if he came to their,
he's the most cartoonish character in the movie.
If when we get, we'll talk about him more, but if he had shown up to their farm, like just wearing a robe and maybe randomly was just naked walking around their house, I would have not been surprised.
Yeah,
I kind of might have liked that.
He's a weird character.
Super weird.
He kind of doesn't really make sense with the rest of the movie either. He was the only character that was like,
really? You didn't think he made sense?
I think he makes a lot of sense.
I thought he made perfect sense.
Really, I thought his honestly, I'll tell you what stuck with me. It is his voice. It was so over the top. It was like if Christian Bale's Batman ate gravel and smoked unfiltered Lucky Strikes for 40 years. That's how
like
gravelly his voice
ASMR
is.
that I would love to fall asleep to.
Yeah,
you know?
no, don't get me wrong. He has a great voice, but it just seemed almost cartoonish.
Maybe, but I think if we talk about the themes of like the movie and talking about again, I don't want to dive too far into it too soon, but like it's all about Hollywood in a lot of ways. Like this movie says, like, you know what I mean? And I feel
just
like
the entertainment business and the predatory nature of it and all that.
Almost mildly a caricature of like that type of director, but I still feel like he was like that jaded, like I have to do things, but this is what I really want to do. And so like, that's why I felt like it works so well and what I love, but I could see how it's like, can become off as like this caricature of this idea of this type of director that exists.
Yeah.
So anyway.
I think to be clear, I don't think he's actually a director. He's a director of photography, so he's a DP.
Okay.
Yeah. Or he's a videographer or something. But he's this very artsy fartsy kind of filmmaker type.
Yeah, you get introduced to him like in basically one of the first scenes where OJ is on set with his horse, because the Hayward family is horse wranglers. You know, they're animal trainers. But the Antlers character is just meant to be like that guy who has been swallowed up by Hollywood. He had all these dreams of being, you know, an artsy fartsy director, but he has to fucking direct commercials with horses and old starlets.
Right. I get it. Yeah, but it's just like, I mean, his name is Antlers. I don't know.
Right,
it just was a lot of bold choices with his character. I'm not saying I dislike it. I just thought his character kind of stuck out like a sore thumb a little bit.
It
really does.
Curious
but I like
if
it.
like Jordan Peele named his character based on like someone he worked with. I didn't look too far into it, but if someone fucking knows, I think that would be fucking brilliant if he did. Because I could see something like
there's
that
a lot of weird little Easter eggs in this movie. I'm sure I noticed a couple, many of which I'm sure you'd have to watch several times over before you got, but we'll talk about it just a little bit. So we're not going to dig into every single scene here. I'll just kind of do a high level, plot overview, and then I think there's a lot of kind of themes and things that we can talk about a little bit too. So anyway, it starts out you've got OJ and his dad Otis, who are talking about, basically, where they're going to kind of take the business, the family business that was built by, Otis Sr. And he had really been a pioneer in the industry, and he had created this business where they are, training horses for movies, so they are like, animal trainers to the stars kind of thing. So they are training animals for movies and TV series and all this sorts of thing.
I think their spiel is also really important though, too, that like they have like lineage back to some of the first, like horse trainers like in Hollywood and whatnot, or like even just ties to what the first person who was filmed ever was a black man on a horse. And so
I took that as that wasn't true.
It may not be true, but I feel like that was like their spiel, but I felt like it was still tied back to what was important about. I mean, at the same time, if we're talking about Jordan Peele, there has to always be a lot of social commentary. So let's be real. I didn't do again, I don't know if you guys either looked into it. I would have not put it past that was actually true though. That's why, I believe that it could have actually been. Oh, you mean
as far as the actual person? Yeah, I think. I mean,
like the whole idea that the first recorded thing could have been.
It is.
Yeah.
So that is true.
Yeah.
But that they don't know who that person was.
Sure. So their lineage, yes, that might have been like a little bit of
in real life, they don't know who it is. But I mean, I'm saying in the movie. So anyway, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. I think the kind of thing we have to establish first is that Otis Sr. dies. Right. So they're getting ready to kind of make this, big move in terms of the next, stage of their business. And, OJ and Otis Sr. are kind of out, with the horses. And all of a sudden, he just kind of, they hear this kind of crazy noise and this wind. And then all of a sudden, all of these objects that you can't really see what they are just start hitting the ground all around them. And then all of a sudden, Otis Sr. just kind of slumps over, falls off his horse. OJ rushes him to the hospital. He dies, and they find out that it was a coin. I think it was a quarter or a nickel. Just basically was launched from the sky straight down through his skull and killed him.
Right.
So they think it was, some debris that fell from a plane or something, like some freak accident. But a bunch of things fell from the plane, including a key that hit the horse and stuck into the horse. And all these little pieces of metal, which you have no idea where this comes from at this point. So now all of a sudden, OJ and Emerald are trying to pick up the pieces of the family business and figure out how to bring it to life. And then they go into this commercial, this is several months later, and OJ has no idea how to talk to people. He doesn't, he's not a showman. He's not a flashy person. He's very much a behind the scenes kind of guy. Emerald is the face of the business now. And she's just basically repeating verbatim her father's spiel,
right.
That he kind of says at the beginning of the production, one of which is talking to them about the fact that the first person that was ever, basically the pictures that were taken that were assembled to make the first ever motion picture, was an African-American jockey on a horse. And they're saying that person was their great grandfather or whatever, which I kind of took, I know they never come out and say this, but I guess I took it as, because there is so much commentary about the entertainment industry and the kind of willingness to just kind of do anything to, almost monetize your own trauma, your family, anything to kind of make it work in this industry and the necessity to do that. I took it as their dad made up an attractive story to get people's attention.
Oh, totally. I just think it was more so just with the whole social commentary for the whole film, that I was getting at was that story was really important to understand that with where Hollywood is today, them bringing that story up everywhere they go, though, I think it's still really important to showcasing how even a lot of whiteness tends to just overshadow what happens actually in society and Hollywood specifically. So that was really what I was getting at.
Yeah, I get you.
There's also another side to that of how that just this storytelling of things being half remembered and repeated is you get it with Steven Yeun's character.
Yeah.
Later on in the film, where he's telling the story of his trauma,
Right.
and it's very possible that the way he's remembering it isn't, but it makes for a good story.
Yeah.
Totally. Right.
So
Yeah, and he very much like it. Yeah, we'll get, because there's actually a really interesting. So I guess we do learn about that pretty early on. You get these like clips of this.
That was what we opened with. We opened the movie with like a clip from that Gordy's place.
Yeah, TV set, and there's you don't know anything about it at this point, but it was from a made up for the movie, but a supposedly short-lived sitcom in the late 90s called Gordy's Home or Gordy's House, wasn't it?
Like
Gordy's Home.
Yeah.
Gordy's Home, and you don't know much about it. But and you know something like bad happened on the set. You ultimately learn, by this kind of almost wraparound narrative, or like it almost, I think, wraps into this overarching narrative or theme of the story, which is like basically when you don't respect the people and animals and anything, if you don't respect the people and things that you depend on, you lose sight of that. You ultimately, fuck yourself kind of. But anyway, they had this chimp on set that just like lost it and murdered like 3 people, or at least 2 people.
Murdered 2 and then
and
severely disfigured. Yeah, disfigured another.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. So you come to learn that the kind of neighbor of the Haywood farm is this Jupe character played by Steven Yeun, and he was one of the child actors on that show and was a survivor and came out unharmed, but had a very traumatic experience associated with it that you kind of relive through his eyes. But then he's also like very, very willing to like whore out his own trauma for the public, and he talks about how he has this kind of weird little shrine to the show in his office that's like hidden, and he paid some like European couple paid him like $50,000 to like spend the night in there, and like all this stuff. So, and then of course we'll get to where his ultimate fall off happens, and it's very much in the same vein, but they're trying to kind of save the farm, and so
OJ and Emerald are trying to save the farm, and they're dealing with Jupiter's character.
Yeah.
Right, they're dealing with Jupe, or Jupiter's character, and so anyway, OJ sees some weird stuff right out one night. One of his sister is kind of coming back into the fray. She's been kind of like on the outside. She's trying to do her own thing, becoming like finding her way in Hollywood and everywhere. And she comes over, and they kind of have this like very loving relationship, but it's also like he's like, I'm staying behind trying to fix this, and you're out, kind of chasing your dreams. So there's a little maybe resentment there. I'm not sure. But she comes over, and they see that one of the horses was out. And then that's kind of the first glimpse when he goes out to put the horse in, that OJ sees this kind of something in the sky. So yeah, I don't know if you guys like, did you pick up on right away, like kind of what we were looking at? It was not real clear. I don't know.
What I liked about this film is that there was a lot of like, I liked that there was a slow build. I liked it. Like throughout the beginning, we're getting hints of things that we know are going to be important, because it all does come together. And I feel like Jordan Peele is like such a brilliant director in that way. I did not necessarily pick up on a lot of that, like that there was something crazy. I kind of went into it being like, I'm going to wait for them to tell me like what's actually happening. But I think it was a perfect way to like start it. And when we actually find out what all this is coming, my feelings changed a little bit, but leading up to that point, I really enjoyed getting like the little bit of like nuggets of things. Like we're learning a little bit about Jupiter's character. We're learning a little bit more about the farm along the way. And you kind of start like, do I want to make an assumption right now? No, I don't yet.
Yeah.
Because even when the shit was falling from the sky, and you're like, this is weird. And I went into it knowing that there might be certain like alien-ish type fucking things going on. But I didn't know. just from even people suggesting like don't go into it with any expectations, and I think that was the best way to do it. So up to this point, what we're talking about, I think they did a great job like building the story to let us get to know these characters a little bit. And if you're a type of person who wants to make assumptions, you may, but like you don't have to.
Yeah. I like it in what you're saying, Meg, is like that you get little nuggets of stuff, and there is a lot of misdirect that is directed towards Jupe's character. Because there's so many different events that are around him, because you see like something is happening at Jupiter's claim one night. You get when he tells the story from his perspective of what happened on Gordy's home, there's this really weird just kind of, and it's maybe like a false memory of his, but like he remembers the shoe that is standing up,
standing upright. Yeah.
Which I really wanted to like understand that a little bit more and like try to do a little bit of keep going.
So I think what that is like I said, I think it's just a thing misremembered, because the other thing that is more important to that story, and like what is kind of ultimately the downfall of him as a person, is like he's remembering this while the chimp is going crazy on set, it's literally just attacking everybody. And then he's under the table and the chimp sees him and comes over, and like he has this memory of the chimp not going to attack him. He thinks it was reaching out for a he thinks it was reaching out for a fist bump, which he says they invented.
That was almost like their little thing on the show.
I like how you just said that. I like, because that actually makes a lot of sense that like, even if we talk about children, like child actors, like having so much trauma, that if he thinks that the only way that he could explain this behavior is like somehow aliens and that shoe being part of it.
Well, maybe it was just aliens, or he just saw it as like a miracle thing, or just like, what? I think he thinks he's blessed is what it is overall.
Okay.
Which is why he thinks he can control what we find out in the end.
Sure.
You know what? I just kind of made the connection that I think the shoe standing up is he has the shoe in his office.
Oh, yeah.
He has it mounted in that position.
So it's part of the story.
So the shoe exists in his world now as being mounted in a frame on the wall for the weird, obsessionist people who he basically pays, that pay him to come see all this stuff. And so that shoe is like this symbol of he has built this story into a money-making scheme, kind of.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. But the only thing that I don't like about that theory, the only thing is that, like, because he doesn't actually talk about the story, that like, if he would have been so bold as to like be like, I saw this shoe standing up, and it was actually part of his story. We didn't hear
I
them
think the
say
shoe
that,
only exists. The only part of, because he had hid under the table.
Right.
So I think in real life, the only he never saw anything.
Okay.
So all this stuff that he's making up in his head about people getting, that whole scene that is fabricated by his brain, and the only part that isn't fabricated is the shoe, because he has seen that because he obtained it later.
Yeah, and I think it's less. I think he did see pretty much everything happen, but I think what he didn't recognize was that he actually was about to be attacked, and maybe he saw the shoe, maybe he misremembered it, and I think it's just because over time he kept retelling the same story over and over. Like Meg, you said we don't hear him say he saw the shoe,
Yeah.
But I think that's just within the editing of the film, because he starts the story, the flashback, and then we watch it happen real time. So I think maybe he mentions it when he's telling the story to others, because now he has this trophy, that he has this like core central thing that he's focused on, and maybe it was that way, maybe it wasn't, but now it's become so ingrained in the retelling of that story to people when he's trying to make money and everything. So I don't think it's a malicious retelling of the story. I think it's just something that he's so ingrained in himself, because he does it again when he retells, like he's praising the fake SNL skit
right
that was like, and he has like such flowery, like reverence for a fucking SNL skit.
Yeah, and he's
starring Chris Kattan.
He's talking about Chris Kattan like he's Jesus Christ.
Well, what he says out loud versus what we see in like the flashbacks and what we see on his face, they're clearly just two separate things, which is why I just think like whatever he can say out loud, it makes sense to him and however he has to tell the story. But like the relics just being there are just part of that trauma that I think it's just part of the trauma. So he sees that he could very well just have been like, I found this shoe was just on the set, or this shoe was because they didn't talk about it a lot. And again, I'm jumping ahead just to talk about the one clip where the one actress from the show was at that final show. So like I wonder if that was her shoe. So like again,
no, I think it was the mother's shoe.
Okay. Yeah. It's just like he has these relics and stuff that he can create a story around based on the drama, so that A, he's making a money-making story. B, he also is able to just cope with the trauma of it all.
Oh yeah. So, yeah. It's definitely a coping thing.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's why he keeps it around. But also he sees the value in it.
Sure.
So he, and again, that's part of Hollywood of like selling your trauma, selling
your soul,
sell your most personal things to TMZ. Like most people don't want their fucking divorces out there, but like how many times do we hear about divorces and breakups and everything, and that all gets leaked into the media.
No one actually cares. Anywho, let's move on. I don't want to keep like everything. There's so much more to this movie that I want to keep talking about.
This movie's so huge in the scope, and it's like the way it weaves things together. I'm sure we'll actually at the end we'll probably come back to this Gordy's home scene because it's something I noticed. But let's move on.
Yeah. So we should say that Jupe's character next door, he's kind of created this like little mini Wild West themed, like a tiny little theme
kid
park.
Sheriff.
Almost like a
he was the kid
tourist.
sheriff.
He was the kid sheriff.
Yeah, it's like a tourist trap type, not tourist, like a tourist trap type of thing. Out in the middle of the desert. So he's got this big, he's got this whole like set, Main Street, and actors and rides and the whole 9 yards. That's kind of right beside them. So you have these couple of kind of creepy experiences where OJ and Emerald are starting to see something in the sky, and they decide, we're going to get this on camera. We're going to get a shot of this. We're going to, no one's been able to do this. We're going to, go get a surveillance system. We should probably mention that they've learned at this point, because of the first time they saw it, that it basically shuts down all electronics. There's some sort of, magnetic field type situation that exists when this entity is present. And then, it shuts down, lights, cell phones,
Alien
everything.
101, honestly.
Yeah. Straight up alien shit. Yeah. So they go and go to the local, whatever the Southern California version of Best Buy is. What?
Can we just talk about your 2 seconds too? I wonder if Jordan Peele did have any sort of like hint or wanted to bring in any sort of elements that I, again, didn't look this up, so I'm making this up. What was that one ranch? It's like Blackwater Ranch, like
Skinwalker Ranch?
Skidwalker Ranch. Yeah. Like I wonder if he pulled it because like
this was like a Wendigo type of thing at first.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but
Skinwalker Ranch has like everything on it. It has wearables, it has Wendigos, it has UFOs. So
yeah, I'm just like because I just remember when I like heard maybe a lab podcast type thing. It was just like that whole like camera recording thing. Great job. I mean, again, I do think it's like an Alien 101 thing, but like that was a great example of even just like that being whatever a story for that actually maybe happened.
Sure.
I don't know, into this being a movie and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if anybody's interested in looking in the more UFO stuff, like there's plenty of Skinwalker Ranch stuff out there. But if you've never heard of it, go look into it. There's a lot of fun.
It's fun. It's seriously, I mean, it's fun. Like if you're into conspiracies and like all that crazy shit. So
it's like Bigfoot making out with fucking Men in Black.
I would love that. That would actually be great porn.
Yeah, there's a lot of that out there. So So yeah, they go in and go to the local, electronics store or whatever, and they get these really fancy cameras to set up. And, the whole idea is like, they're almost this is kind of a last ditch effort, from a financial standpoint for them. They're spending a lot of the remainder of their, savings to buy these cameras, and Emerald has no interest in, she wants to sell the ranch. She doesn't want to work on the ranch, doesn't want anything to do with it. And of course, OJ's kind of like trying to like preserve his father's legacy a little bit. So this is a bit of a last ditch effort. But they meet this guy again. We talked about Angel, who's kind of this like not passive aggressive.
I feel like he doesn't have much going on in his life. He like wants some excitement, and I don't know, kind of a deadbeat a little bit.
Yeah, he's like condescending, I guess is the way is the question to them, as like this kind of tech nerd. And basically he talks them into having him come out and install everything, which he does, and then gets really curious, and they're basically like, no, fuck you, see you later, bye. And then he
just kind of a tool though, like you just like they don't want him around. They're like, don't come back.
No, he's a total douchebag. Like, he's like talking about how he dated a model and she broke up with him.
Yeah, deadbeat. I guess deadbeat maybe like still would have been appropriate, but no, he just like, he's super annoying and just like a know-it-all, and you're like, like you said, you want to hate him so bad, but then like when he's actually helpful, he's super helpful.
He's like trying to hang out and like, hey, can I like whatever, and he's like, she's like and he's kind of demoralized and going back to the van to leave, and he's like, my supervisor's gonna call, and she's like, 5 stars, Angel, you got it. Like, basically he's like, fuck off, okay, we'll take care of you. Anyway, he hacks into their camera and he sees some shit that's happening when they basically decide they are going to, try to lure this UFO out once again, because they are learning that it wants to, basically, some sort of, they're not really sure what brings it out quite yet. But turns out they have this set up. So one camera that's pointing toward the sky from like kind of one side of the ranch, and then one from the other side, so that if the electricity goes out on one side, then the other side will stay on and get it. But then this whole kind of like comedy of errors type situation where the one camera goes out because of the magnetic field, and then the other camera is got a praying mantis on it, like staring at them, which is like a cool little jump. There's a little jump scare, but there's just like a praying mantis on the, on the camera. So she goes out and tries to knock it off, and it's a whole thing. Basically, Angel figures out from studying the tape, because he's basically like eavesdropping on them through the camera feeds, that there is a cloud in the sky that does not move at all, despite this like wide open area and these like fast moving clouds. There's one little cloud that does not move. He comes out, basically like intrudes upon them and explains that, and then they quickly learn that this UFO is kind of hiding in the clouds, specifically behind this one cloud that does not move, that is obviously some sort of like fake cloud that it has
force
created.
Field of sorts, or it's like home base.
Yeah,
it's I think actually
it's like it's
I don't want to jump.
Nest or
I don't want to actually want to get it. I think the cloud might be its spaceship.
Okay. Okay.
Might be.
All right.
Yeah, we'll circle back around to that.
I don't want to give it away. But anyway, we're almost there. We're almost there.
Yeah. So he comes out, and then they decide, it's again, this whole thing on like how the kind of, predatory nature of the entertainment business works. Emerald, who she's the only one who like, she wants to play the game. She's the eager one that hasn't been, chewed up and spit out by the industry yet. So she is like the eager person who is not scared to ask, not scared to bother people. She ain't scared of any of that. She calls up this, Antlers Holst, and basically says like, she kind of gives him a shitty pitch about how to come out, hey, you need to come out here and see this. Yeah. He basically says like, fuck off, see you later. Fast forward a little bit, Jupiter, you come to realize that he has been observing this phenomena in the sky along with his family for months now.
And also buying these horses.
Yes. And he has been
to it.
Yes. I forgot about that. Yes. So he keeps buying horses from
From OJ.
From
OJ.
Yeah.
And you don't get this, at the time, but Steve, you kind of mentioned there's a lot of like misdirect with Jupe, because at this one point, when he's basically selling horses to Jupe to make ends meet, he is expecting that he's going to buy them back.
Right.
So he even says to him something like, hey, I'd like to, discuss a path to potentially buy the horses back at some point.
Right.
And Jupe's
he's
like very
assuming he's just like
about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he's assuming
for the shows.
Yeah, and you think at that time Jupe is just being cagey because he doesn't believe OJ will ever come up with the money.
Right.
Not that he's been feeding the horses to the sky.
Like, I don't have a horse to give back to you.
Yes,
Whoopsie
I've been feeding
daisy.
these horses to the sky. So now he goes, he has...
These are Jesus horses, guys.
Yeah. Let Jesus take the reins. That's all. That's what I say every
Jesus,
day, all
take the
day.
wheel here.
So he has this crowd, which is a pretty pathetic little crowd. I mean, maybe there's couldn't be more than about 20. I think they say 40 people total, including all the staff and him and everybody in his family.
Staff, and then I think there were just some other park goers as well that were. They weren't at the show; they were just milling about. But yeah.
So they're kind of standing in these grandstands, and he's got. And he gives this big, showman style speech about you're going to be changed forever after today, and basically says we got a goddamn UFO in the sky, and it's been coming down at this time every day to eat a dang horse, or every Friday or whatever to eat a dang horse, and within the hour you're going to see it. Well, then it shows up a little early. He opens the gate, tries to get the horse out to, basically. It's like the goat in Jurassic Park kind of situation. But instead, this entity comes down and sucks him up and all the people at the park. And you get a feeling now that this thing, which you thought was like a classic damn flying saucer type situation.
Can we just say it, because we learn it within the next 5-10 minutes of what the fuck this thing is?
Well, you figure it out right now because he sucks them up.
But I think it's when OJ comes, he's the one who's kind of like, I see what this thing is actually doing because it's trying to do to me.
But at this point is when you see, because up until this point you think it's a damn flying saucer. Right. But then what happens is they suck everything up, and you see some of the people, including Jupe's wife, in the intestinal tract, for lack of a better term, of this creature. So now everything comes together because you're like, oh, all the things flying from the sky are the things it can't digest, and it's just shitting them out or whatever.
Yeah. Something else I just want to pause on this rodeo scene is, and it just again speaks to trauma and the way Hollywood chews people up, is in attendance is Jupe's co-star from Gordy's Home, Ellie Joe, and she's sitting in the audience, and she has this veil over her face and a glove on her hand because she was obviously attacked and disfigured by Gordy, but also she's wearing a sweatshirt with her face from when she was a child star.
Yeah,
so she still wants the recognition of who she is.
Yeah.
And
who she was.
Maybe that's the translation of the veil thing going on, where I am going to cover my face, but I'm going to show you who I am. And that's what maybe you exactly said that, but that's kind of, that makes a lot of sense in all the trauma of it all, is that you're still trained to want to have that attention.
And she just wants people to remember her how she was.
Right.
She doesn't want them to look on her face, which is skeletal and eaten down to the bone. She wants people to remember her as America's up and coming young little sweetheart from Gordy's Home.
Remember that everyone dies, and this next scene shows that everyone fucking dies. So fuck it.
Everybody gets swallowed up anyway.
Everyone gets swallowed up into an alien intestinal tract and spit out if they're not good enough.
Sucked up to an alien bunghole. This is the other really interesting thing about this, and we can talk a little bit more about it at the end, but I think it's worth bringing up now, is this is based on a real story. The person who gets attacked by the chimp, there was a woman back in, I want to say in the 90s. I'm not sure exactly what the time frame was.
Man, I thought it was the 2000s.
It might have been 2000s, but her name is Charlotte
Travis is a
Nash.
menace, though.
Yeah. Charlotte Nash is her name. And she got mauled by a Hollywood chimp named Travis, who she was the owner and trainer, I believe, of.
Oh, maybe I don't know. Keep going, but I thought.
Am I getting two stories together?
Well, no, I thought
blinded. I see this right now.
Yeah, I thought it was the owner's friend that was attacked by Travis.
I actually have this right now up. Right, it's like in 1995, in real life, chimpanzee was taken from his mother as a baby and sold to a Connecticut couple, Sandra and Jerome Harold, who named him Travis and raised him to wear clothes, drink wine, eat at the table, and sleep in bed with them. In 2009, reportedly triggered by a red Elmo doll, Sandra Harold's friend Charlotte Nash was holding Travis charged Nash in a shocking mauling attack, and the woman was left blinded, hands, nose, lips, and face severely injured.
Yeah. So the interesting part about this is she was on Oprah, which they talk about wanting to get this stuff on Oprah. And she wore essentially the same type of like shawl type of thing.
Yeah, the shawl and it was the glove that like stuck out to me because I remember she also had like this specialized glove that she wore to maintain the idea. To maintain the idea that like she had a full hand, like which she doesn't. Yeah, Travis was a menace, and like those owners fed him wine, like you said, Meg, but also he was like hopped up on like people antidepressants.
What?
They kept them all kinds of drugged and crazy.
Okay, I have this is like a weird side story that I will try to keep as brief as possible. Like my stepmom had a friend who for a period of time she was like going to exotic animal auctions and ended up getting this smaller monkey. And for one like weekend, my stepmom was like babysitting it. So we were hanging around it. Again, weird stories.
Monkey sitting. Please, monkey sitting.
We were monkey sitting. There are some pictures that exist out there. I will show them to you at some point. Anywho, but like she ended up at one point.
Story never ends.
No, okay. A side story to this side story.
Can you talk slower? Can you talk slower?
You're going too fast. We want to hear the monkey sitting story.
Yeah, I feel like Willy Wonka's like, suspense is killing me. I hope it'll last.
Okay, so I do a story to the side story before I get to like why this monkey is not in that person's life. Part of this monkey sitting, my mom put the monkey on my brother when he was sleeping, and the monkey just started playing with his nipples. And like my brother just like woke up, but he's like one of those aggressive people to wake up where you like it might punch someone. He woke up inappropriately. Didn't punch anyone, didn't punch the monkey or anything, but this was just a really funny thing that the monkey literally went to his nipples. Anywho,
your mom let a monkey molest your brother while he was sleeping. That's the headline. That's how the headline reads.
That was not the goal. The monkey
Meg is burying the lead like 3 times over.
Local woman allows monkey to molest children.
I'm going to find a photo for you guys so to show you if this story exists. But no, okay. So what I was actually getting at is, and why this whole Travis and thing like makes sense is like all these animals aren't meant to live in captivity, really. So like at one point they will just naturally get more aggressive because that's in their fucking nature, because they've gotten fucking testosterone and hormones and all this other shit. And so it's like to try to keep something like that in captivity, which is also why had a conversation recently why I don't even like zoos and stuff like that. So these animals just like have to exist how they need to exist. So if you're giving them fucking drugs just so they can exist with you and you're deciding to have this exotic animal as a pet, you're fucked up. It's basically what I'm saying. If we have any listeners who have exotic animals, I'm like, fuck off. I think it's stupid.
What happened to the other monkey? What?
No, she sent it back to auction and no longer had it. She didn't
keep it. Yeah, we cooked it and ate it.
No, that's what I'm saying is that like she knew, like I remember my stepmom telling me about this and that she didn't have it very long because she learned about this, that at some point it will naturally get very aggressive. So she was like worried about that.
Okay.
And like had it like got got rid of it.
And then once it gets all aggressive and stuff, it makes the meat not taste that good.
Yeah.
And how are you going to make monkey sausage?
Though? What about the brains? Isn't it the whole Indiana Jones?
The Native Americans, they used every part of the monkey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's shameful to just crack its skull open and eat the brain.
I tell you guys these ridiculous things that happen that I kind of sometimes.
Why don't you? Yeah. It's enthralling.
I want to see the pictures of the monkey in a little cowboy outfit riding horses at your house.
Okay, that didn't happen. I definitely just have a picture of the monkey.
I did not expect starting today's podcast going in to lead to a story of a monkey molested my brother.
That time when a monkey molested my brother.
Yeah.
That is a real fucked up Goosebumps title. That summer a monkey molested my brother. Yeah, so where the fuck were we at?
Who fucking knows? We're past the rodeo.
We're past the rodeo. Yeah, so I guess what happens is the Antlers Holst hears about the incident at Jupiter's Claim. They have no idea what happened, but he makes the connection right away. Ah, shit! This is those people who called me, because he's thinking about it still. So he says, "Hey, I'll come out." Right. And he comes out and brings his camera, which is a hand crank camera. It doesn't need electricity, that he built himself, which was kind of cool, a cool element there. Yeah. I thought
that's the other thing that just like harkens back to him being this. And I don't want to say he's a complete like Lars Van Trier.
More of that than
but he's close to that, because every time you see him working on something that it wasn't on the set, he's constantly working on like this weird documentary Predator footage, and he's editing it on like a reel-to-reel, like a real old school editing deck,
almost like pathologically.
Yeah,
he's sitting there just like clicking it back and forth, and it's the same clip over and over and over again of like a boa constrictor like squeezing a tiger or something. I don't know. It's like,
I mean, he has like a bunch of clips of just animals attacking each other, and like he's just watching it over and over again, and he's like, there's like clips of like the animals like looking directly into the camera as they attack their prey, and and he's just like, he's being a weird Scandinavian creep.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. And just, but yeah, it feels like a Lars Van Trier like Dogma 94 fucking ripoff of, like, I do everything old school when I can, but I have to fucking do shitty commercial stuff for money.
And that's what he even says. He says like one for them, one for me kind of thing.
Exactly.
So he says, okay, I'll come out. So they get out and they start formulating a plan about how they're going to, which I thought was really
like what I know you're about to jump into this, but like, this is the moment for me, what I was kind of mentioning earlier on, that I was like, things kind of turned, is that it almost felt like, I feel like when this conflict arises in this film, they went from like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? It's just crazy, to holy shit, we actually have a plan. And it was a weird moment for me, and I don't know how you guys felt. So like that second half of the film, like I loved all of it. I thought it was great. I thought it was fun, but like at the same time, I was like, how did they just like instantly get this cool, calm, collective, we now have everything figured out, we have a plan immediately of how to deal with this? I mean, but I know the nuggets of like how they learned about the alien, and they understand how to fight it, but it just felt like it happened too fast. I felt like there might have been just like a small, maybe 5-10 minutes that could have made it feel less like this immediate pivot. I don't know how, if you did you guys feel that way at all?
It was pretty abrupt. I think it was pretty abrupt, but I took it as like, okay, Dad's back. Like, cause that was the thing before, is like, OJ didn't know, he couldn't run things on his own. He's not he's not necessarily, he doesn't have that like leadership, organizational leadership type of thing. Yeah. He's smart. He's like brave. He's, he connects with the animals. Yeah. He's like the pack leader type of thing, but he's a lead by example guy, not a like, let's sit down and figure this out kind of guy. And of course the other two aren't either. So all of a sudden Antlers shows up, and now he's the general, and he's going, okay, you tell me, how are we going to do this?
Right. But he knows nothing about the thing that they've experienced. Whereas OJ, I feel like, experienced most of the alien. He's the one who was like, holy shit, this is how my fucking dad died. I watch it like eating all of these pieces that it can't digest. And this is why it's like trying to hurt us almost in a way.
Yeah. And Antlers is the director. I mean, he comes into the director role. Sure. So he's like, I am going to set up where people are going to be, where the shots are going to be. You're going to be, essentially doing the stunt, here's all the, so he comes in and he's like, now he's the director, I think a little bit.
Yeah. Right. And also just like you're talking about how it feels like a sudden turn, but I would say like OJ is the first one to recognize that it's not a UFO spaceship, it's a predator.
Right.
And so like because
it is itself an alien, which is why I suggest that maybe the cloud is somehow this camouflage for its own spaceship.
I don't even know that it's an alien.
It's how could you not think it's like an actual entity?
It is, but it could be terrestrial.
Yeah, it may be just something
terrestrial. What?
Terrestrial. Something we've just never seen before.
Sure.
Yeah, but so like OJ is the first one to recognize that it's a predator, and so he is the one that always trained with his dad, which is part of Emerald's character as to why she hasn't been chewed up by Hollywood yet, because her dad wasn't taking her out and training her. It was OJ from the start. But OJ has the most experience working with animals. And then when Antlers comes on the scene, he also has obviously a lot of experience, with filming and dealing with predators. So like the two of them, I just didn't take it as that sudden because, OJ knows how to train and Antlers knows how to film. So
maybe I was more ignoring, because I hear what you're saying is that, like, I think maybe that's the subtlety of OJ's character being so quiet, that he was watching all those things. So like more instinctually knows how to handle a prey or predator versus like he knows animals, which is what he's kept saying. So maybe I just was ignoring that fact, and maybe that's why I didn't feel
there's
so
a montage, and a montage solves all problems.
That covers up a lot of problems.
So they kind of set things up, and I thought it was kind of cool that they have. It's almost like a heist, but I mean, it's a movie. They're trying to get a shot, So they have their cinematographer / director, the auteur. They have the tech guy.
Yeah, Angel would be like the camera assistant. Because he's the one he's taking the mags off the 16 millimeter and
and he said he wired up all the Wacky Wild and Arm Flailing Inflatable Tube Men, which is I thought was pretty cool. And I mean, this movie we can get to it at the end, but like the writing is so good in this movie. It's such a well-written movie. But they have this thing of basically they can kind of tell where it's going to show up in this like valley by they have all these wild, wacky, arm flailing inflatable tube men that they stole from the car dealership.
I thought that was so fun.
And they laid them out everywhere. So when they go down, that means okay, the magnetic field is kind of hovering over that area, which was pretty cool. So they get ready to do the shot. They've got everyone in position. And then, as you might imagine, shit kind of hits the fan mostly right off the bat because this like dickhead, which they say he's from TMZ, which I don't know if they ever establish he is actually from TMZ, but he's like a tabloid kind of freelance.
It's just
tabloid
like the most popular one that like if someone said it, they would fucking know.
Also, I love this character they introduced because it's such a spaceman that they bring in. Like he comes in, he has like this completely mirrored helmet. He's riding an electric bike, and he sounds half alien filtered through the helmet. It's just like a really funny like thing of just like a man from another world.
Straight up, 50s sci-fi flick character almost. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre. So he's the kind of guy who kind of comes and fucks everything up, fucks up the plans. He flies down through there, which, the electric bike, I mean, it makes obviously a lot of sense, but it's boy, is that convenient. That was the only thing that I was like, oh, electric bike. Okay,
but it's Hollywood
I get it.
and it's LA.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
why would
totally.
someone not have that?
Yeah, it's not far-fetched.
Right.
It's just kind of convenient, I guess.
Oh, Brian,
but
you don't have an electric fucking motorcycle?
I don't have electric anything. My toothbrush is gas powered. I'm a fucking fossil fuels till the day I die.
Remember to give it an oil change.
My daddy was an oil man. My daddy's daddy was an oil man. No, I'm just
My
kidding.
toilet doesn't even flush. I just burn it.
My computer is everything is hooked up to a generator that I just dump gas in all day.
It is really loud.
It's the loudest computer in town. I got pipes on it and everything. So yeah, he goes flying down there to get a shot of everything. Of course, he goes through the electromagnetic field. It shuts his bike off, and he just gets fucking ejected off the bike. Which
like
would
that.
it decelerate
so
that
good.
fast? That
Oh,
seems
totally. I mean, okay, maybe I don't know. Like, yeah, if a
I don't know. I don't know anything about electric
if
bikes.
anything shuts down, it shuts down, and you're fucking done.
But like, why would it get
Why would it
thrown
eject
into
him?
gear? Yeah. Like, wouldn't it just go into neutral?
Well,
You'd think there would be some sort of safety.
It could be a brake system thing, though, too.
Maybe.
It's like, you know what I mean? If like it pulls the front brakes or something like that. I don't know.
Maybe. That's the only thing I could figure, but it just seems like it would more come to a slow roll.
It would just be like,
Yeah.
yeah, like a Power Wheels.
Let's be
that just
real.
ran out of
Can we
battery.
just all relish that we all love that he did get ejected from that bike real fast?
Yeah, he did get
for sure.
ejected.
Yeah.
Everyone
Fuck that
loved
guy.
it. And
I
he was
hated
also
it.
like
I
laying
hated
there on the
him.
ground, severely injured, and all he could talk about was get my phone, get the camera, why aren't you shooting this?
Yes.
And of course OJ runs out to save him because he's kind of the moral compass, here.
Oh man, how can I find an OJ?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so.
You got to go out to.
he's
I mean, you're a horse
he's
gal.
Cowboy, and he's
go to some
dreamy.
horse shows.
No, not in this
Go to
area.
some horse shows.
Do you think
What are
I'm
you
gonna
talking about?
No, I'm not gonna find
You don't-
someone.
You don't think you can find somebody like that at Big Butler Fair?
Yeah.
No.
Go down to the pits. Go down to Pits of Hermitage. There's probably an OJ down there.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks, guys.
gonna go out on a limb and say that your ideas of finding a very nice liberal cowboy
A
are
very,
very
handsome
strong.
black cowboy in the Butler County Fair.
Man,
is
it's just like
low.
getting me all sweaty over here. Like
There is literally, yeah. I don't think there are like 4 black people that live in Butler County, and
Yeah.
they ain't going nowhere close to the fair for good reason. It's fucking cesspool.
Yeah.
It is. It's fucking cesspool. In any case, yeah, unless you want meth, that's the only reason you're going
yeah, that's the only reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So OJ runs out to save him, and he keeps saying like, eyes on me, eyes on me. But the guy looks right at it, and you have established at this point, I don't know if he has kind of announced it before this or after. I think
He totally
definitely
has.
did.
Yeah,
for sure, because they're already getting ready to shoot. But OJ has said, he has figured out that he believes that it will not attack you unless you look directly at it.
Right.
So he learns that earlier when he kind of saves them, and they jump into the van and kind of
Do you know where
temporarily escape.
Do you know where that works in the opposite? Is in a
What?
classroom.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? You're like, I can't.
if you look at the teacher, they'll call on you.
No, but they would like oftentimes do the opposite. They're like, no, don't look at me. No, and I'm going to choose you because I know you don't want me to choose
It would.
you.
I think it varied teacher to teacher. You just had to learn which predator to look at and which not.
Well, every predator. What is OJ saying? This like every animal has a set of rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
These
you
are the
just had to
things that
learn the
we
rules of
learned.
your teachers.
Yeah.
I'm not going back to school. Fuck this shit.
Well, some I knew I could sleep on. Some I knew if I just stared them down, they'd leave me alone.
Was it because you looked creepy at them?
Yes.
No, because it was also probably helpful that you were the biggest. Like you were definitely bigger than the teacher.
That too.
There's no way. At 2nd grade, you were taller than all your teachers. I would
No,
imagine.
also you would just like pull down your glasses and look over over like the frame at them real awkwardly. You're like, Steve's
Also,
in a
I'm
mood
imagining imagining Steve had that beard in second grade too?
Probably.
It's hard to imagine not.
Probably.
It just wasn't as gray. But look, if you lick your lips at your gym teacher, he won't make you fucking run the laps.
I thought you said if you lick your lips at your gym teacher, he won't make you fuck him. That's where I thought you said, and then you finished the sentence. It's like, oh, this is getting dark. Anyway,
let's if you have trauma to deal with, guys, like deal with it. Like go to therapy.
Trigger warning, guys.
Trigger warning. We say some fucked up things.
Anyway, so the dude, gets sucked up by the thing, and OJ just says basically like, sorry, because he looked right at it.
Yeah.
And then, OJ kind of does this whole, stare down type of situation with the thing. There's this big climactic series of scenes where there's a lot of chaos. A few different things happen. One, they start getting sucked up by the thing. Most notably, OJ is trying to outrun it on the horse. He kind of dives into this this kind of fairing house type situation. I don't know what it is. So he's kind of trapped and isolated over there. Emerald kind of gets tossed around by it. So they're all injured because they've been partially sucked up and escaped this creature, which we should describe now. You've seen it close up in a few different instances. It does look like a disc, your classic flying saucer, but with a very noticeable, almost reminds me of like the mouth of a stingray or something, but it's circular.
But
it
I
doesn't
also
have
think
teeth or anything.
I got this almost like starfish, almost like even just like where it ate from, kind of reminding me of a starfish type thing.
But it's like it's a disc,
octopus.
but then it's at this point it's a disc, but now you're starting to see that it isn't firm though. You start to see that it's like pliable in texture almost. Like it almost looks like it's made of like parachute fiber or parachute material almost. And then so then fast forward a little bit, Antlers basically they get a good shot of it, right? They believe that they've gotten a good shot of it, but then Antlers throws a big old wrench in the mix here by deciding that he is going to go rogue and get his like final, piece de resistance type of shot where he actually runs up the hill with the camera and baits it to come to him. And then he gets the perfect shot as it is literally
That's what he wanted. I feel like he almost like appreciated this like predator prey mentality of sorts, like even just some of the videos that we were watching, like he was watching of sorts, that I feel like that was like the perfect way for him to go out, even if it kind of fucked up the whole thing. I think the suggestion was like that maybe he was watching these clips and editing them together and was like, this isn't the perspective that I want because you can't. So this is how I took it.
Because he wasn't being attacked.
He wasn't. He wanted to demonstrate the desperation and fear of the prey, but in those shots he couldn't separate the prey from the predator. But if he is the prey, now he can really demonstrate that in the way that he wants to. So that's
I feel
what
like
he
would
captured.
have been even a more perfect scene because the terrestrial like predator figure we were talking about cannot digest, like we obviously know cannot digest like like physical things outside of like beings of sorts. Anything
metal.
It just like it should have like spit out the film, which if I missed that.
I was waiting for that to happen, but it
they didn't show it, but I mean it probably does. Then but because after that, Angel is seeing he's about to be attacked because at this point also the creature is kind of just almost willy-nilly attacking, and because like
it's definitely out of sort.
Because
it's not strategic. It's not hiding.
We don't have Jupiter just feeding it, and so it's out of its like typical like predator prey situation. So it's not having Jupiter give it horses. So now it's like out of its comfort zone. So it's getting reactive.
Well, I think even beyond that though is what after OJ tries to save the TMZ guy, he leads the creature on a chase.
Right.
To test out a theory, and this is part of like the big shot that they get. But he releases like a parachute, and that throws the creature off, because he caused it to have fear, so he upset it, he angered it, and then after Angel gets sucked up, Angel is like wrapped himself in a tarp and barbed wire, made himself indigestible, right? But this also hurts the creature. So then after that, it just begins like attacking willy-nilly because it's just lashing out.
Berserker mode. It's going all Gordy on everyone at this point.
Right. It's gone Gordy.
And at this point, we should also say, like, if we didn't already, it went from that like saucer type figure to being almost this, like, if we talk about a parachute, kind of look like a parachute and like fanned out. We see its full figure of like
this
what
is
it
when
is.
like
it's gorgeous too, by the way. I kind of like how they designed it.
It's a really interesting design.
Yeah.
But yeah, OJ kind of stares it down, and it's kind of this like, now you need to respect me thing. So he stands up to it, and I took it as it kind of flares itself out like a peacock or like a or like a cobra or
that's
something.
That's its intimidation.
I think he also just said something too with like OJ finally, like, he is finally maybe even stepping into that moment where he never felt like he could be his dad, and now he's kind of like finally understanding what it means to be able to like respect and understand a creature, but also have like dominance over it and be able to like control what it needs to do, which is exactly what he's doing with like the animals that they.
He basically has like a face off with it, kind of.
Right. Yeah. But the design you're talking about is like Meg Yori like made allusions to it by saying like starfish or octopus, but it definitely has like this undersea like sea anemone or something else like
a jellyfish without
jellyfish, jellyfish or like even lionfish. There's just definitely like a lot of deep sea elements to that, and like the way it flares itself out like a pufferfish almost, and it has, its stomach comes out of itself a couple times. So
it makes total sense with everything you guys are talking about with like when something is trying to show like scare other prey or a predator, like it'll go into that form of like, this is who the fuck I am, Arms up.
Was it like, did you guys get any, because of the idea that it kind of looks like it's made of fabric, or some sort of like nylon almost, it looks like it's made of.
Yeah.
Did it remind you guys of like, I the first thing I thought of was like the dragons around Chinese New Year.
Oh, okay.
Totally.
Obviously it's not nearly as anthropomorphic as that. It's much more abstract looking than that. But it just kind of was like this whole series of like flowing fabric.
Yeah. It was like I said, it was like a gorgeous,
but it was like
figure.
A fractal pattern
but
too, a little
terrifying.
bit.
The stomach has like a fractal pattern nature to it. It's funny. You just said nylon, and it clicked in my brain that if you looked at this thing, it would look like a weather balloon. Like the original Roswell report. It would be like a shredded weather balloon.
Totally.
Yeah. That just clicked with me.
No, that's great. I think the whole idea is like, I took this is my interpretation. I don't know if this is correct, but let's wait. Let's get through the end of the story, because we're pretty much at the end here.
Pretty much at the end,
they have this kind of situation where you then kind of shift to Emerald's perspective, and you don't really know what happened to OJ when he's like backing down. He's kind of trying to run away from it. And she's watching this all happen from a distance, and he tells her to run to the motorcycle, which is of course electric. So she's basically waiting for it to move far enough away, and he's kind of pulling it away from her so that the motorcycle will start and then she can take off, which she does. She blasts off in the motorcycle, runs over towards the Jupiter's claim, and starts to quickly comes up with a plan where she is going to release this giant apparently helium filled kind of
Jupiter. It's a
it's
kid.
Jupiter.
It's Kid Sheriff.
Yeah.
Yes, it's Kid Sheriff. So it's basically like this big character, big blow up character, and it starts to fly into the sky, and that attracts over the creature, which fights with it or attempts to like fight with it.
Yeah.
Ultimately consumes it, and then she starts to use this like
It's like a
wishing well camera.
Yeah.
I've seen it before. It's like one of those things where you go to like Idlewild and you look down. Excuse me, you look down the well. You put a quarter in, and it takes your picture from below.
Yeah.
So she starts taking pictures of it as it's.
She wanted evidence. Like she just was like, we can't say this didn't exist.
And then and then it eats the big inflatable cowboy and explodes. When it tries to consume it or whatever, and it kills it. And then as she's kind of laying there like, oh, I did it, but she doesn't know what happened to OJ. And then all of a sudden it's like the cops, the FBI, whatever, starts to show up. So she's kind of all poised and ready to like tell her story, but she doesn't know where OJ is. But then you see OJ over in the distance. But then did you guys think that he was alive?
I think it's one of those kind of what was the Christopher Nolan movie? Fucking
Avatar?
No, the one within their dreams.
Inception.
God. Yeah, Inception. I think it was like an Inception ending in a way because what you see is you see OJ, he's out past this gate, and the gate above it says "Out Yonder."
Right.
So
is it like, did he pass on?
Right.
To
he could be dead. He could not be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want him to be, but because I almost feel like it had this triumphant thing and that they were working together because exactly what she did allowed the creature to like get away from him.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I guess took it as, but I think now you guys are making me like,
I think it's satisfying whichever way you interpret it. I don't think that's
to be
big a deal.
alive because
he's alive for you, Meg.
I know
he's alive in your heart.
He's always alive in my heart.
So I wanted to jump back to the creature attacking Kid Sheriff, and there's just something I noticed that was very interesting, and I don't know if there was a more deeper meaning to this or if it was just fun parallelism that Jordan Peele set up. But right before the creature attacks the Kid Sheriff, it has its stomach out. And the stomach, like you mentioned, it has like this fractal pattern, but it's very translucent, and it's translucent green.
Yeah.
And so you see a shot where the translucent green is cast over Kid Sheriff, and it kind of separates the two of them. And this is right before essentially Kid Sheriff is eaten and then killed. If you go back to the scene with the Gordy's home flashback, when Jupe is hiding underneath the table, the tablecloth is also this translucent green, and is the separation between him and Gordy right before like possibly whatever was going to happen happens. So I think it's just like I don't know if there's some sort of green veil or something like that. That's like
something in like folklore or something.
I don't know if that's a thing, but it's just, it's definitely like a parallel of like
green veil. Is there, I'm trying to rack my brain here.
I don't know.
Is there because there's that biblical verse at the beginning, which is basically like, oh, we're going to, I'm going to basically turn you into shit, basically is what the, I forget what the quote is.
I think that's just more tied to the Hollywoodism of like, we're going to exploit you. We're going to throw filth at you. But you have like Jupe, who is almost definitely in danger, going to be attacked by Gordy, and he's only separated by this thin piece of green, fabric. And then the same thing, the predator, the alien predator, finds itself in a situation where it thinks it has the upper hand on Jupe. Right. And attacks him.
And it's right before both of them die, or right before Gordy dies, and it's right before this creature dies. Yeah,
this creature gets killed because it thinks it has the upper hand, but it just sees a big Kid Sheriff. It doesn't understand that it's full of helium and is just going to bust its insides. So, yeah. I thought it was an interesting parallel, but I just didn't know if there was more symbolism to it being green, because it's a very specific choice to make them.
Well, there is and this is quite a long, maybe this is quite a long shot here, but I was just Googling, stuff about a green veil, and there was an anthology series that was at Tribeca a few years ago called The Green Veil, and it does look like the themes of this, like John Leguizamo and Aram Rappaport was in it, and it's a seems like very much a theme of oppression. So I don't know, who knows. I saw the same thing when I tried to do small amount of research, but I couldn't. I just couldn't find like it's certainly not a 1-to-1.
I couldn't find a good reason, and it just might be knowledge that I don't have, or it just might have just been a parallel, and Peele decided on green. I don't know. Yeah. There was a lot of things that I wonder, because he's so like he's almost, and I know he's only a few films in his career, but obviously he's proven himself to be an incredible writer and filmmaker. And I almost. I don't know a lot about him personally, but I definitely see a lot of like Kubrick type elements in his films, in that he's like really heavy into, all the stuff in the background, and, there's all these little Easter eggs and everything's tied together and all this stuff. So he loves like kind of weaving these webs. And I wonder if there was an element where this idea that he, like, how do I say this? Like almost a commentary on himself a little bit, and the fact that he is like kind of making a big summer blockbuster, like a fairly big budget summer blockbuster. I don't know what they spent on this, but this isn't a small production, and like this idea of, he's exploiting like these true stories about, especially in his first films, like obviously really, really like racially focused, and you could see it as, oh, this is something where he is playing to the, he's trying to, develop awareness around these types of issues, but I'm sure he's had some internal dialogue with himself as like, I'm also making a lot of money off this. You know what I mean? And then in this movie, he kind of does it almost very intentionally, in that he brings up that idea of Charlotte, that Charlotte Nash character, where it's clearly a reference specifically to her, right,
and Oprah and all that stuff. And I wonder if it's one of those things where he's kind of like, oh, it's almost a nod to say like, I'm not immune to this either.
Right.
Like I'm part of this big thing.
Yeah. I think it's like, I definitely can agree with that. It's like hard not to.
And like the Scorpion King thing, I really like that. So again, I'm reading into this way too much, but first of all, they talk about how that horse that was supposed to be Emerald's horse that they trained to go and was supposed to be in the Scorpion King, but then it got cut anyway because they used camels. Anyway, the whole time during the latter part of the movie, during the climactic scene at least, OJ is wearing a Scorpion King staff hoodie. Yeah. Like crew hoodie. And when he's talking about Chris Kattan, when Jupe is doing his whole thing about Chris Kattan and all this stuff, he's basically describing the character of Mango, or was it not Mango?
No, it wasn't Mango.
But he
just played
chimp.
Mr. Peepers.
Like a chimp.
Mr. Peepers.
Mr. Peepers. That's it. And The Rock played in a sketch with Chris Kattan as Peepers, as like Peepers 2.
I think it was like Peepers' dad or something.
Peepers' dad when he was promoting Scorpion King. Yeah, I think.
It's that's such a weird, like, all come together. But like, it's definitely intentional that was all on his mind.
Clearly intentional. Yeah.
There's just another fun kind of Easter egg though of we were talking about the well. And how, it's something you've seen before, but also like if the poster for Kid Sheriff is Jupe and the two other kids looking down the well. So that's why he's recreating that in his town.
Right.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, it's up in his office. It's like in the background. Yeah.
I saw something which this didn't really interest me that much, but it did say I did see that there was apparently on Jupe's desk a pair of scissors, just like in Us.
Oh, okay.
Like on his desk. I was like, that's a little on the nose, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just hiding things in plain sight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so
this movie ruled.
Yeah, that's really that's the end. We kind of fade out with Emerald, and does she, what does she do with all this information and these pictures and all that? So you don't know.
Yeah.
But,
she has probably the best character arc out of everybody in that, like we were saying, when she starts the film, she's very much trying to get in and she wants to be part of the Hollywood system. But I think by the end, like she doesn't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Like her encounter with the TMZ bike guy is like, very much like she's trying to even warn him. She's like, you don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to be a part of this, but like this is done. And it's even kind of funny when she makes the initial call to Antlers.
Yeah. He has a quote. I couldn't recall it.
I can't. Dang it. Well, it's not so much of the quote that I remember, but it's he's basically saying you're chasing an impossible dream, one you can't wake up from. That's what he warns her with. But also during that call, she's trying to do the pitch, and she says, "We're filming something reality," and then OJ's like, "No, say documentary," and like she switches the documentary, and then that kind of perks Anders up for a minute. Because there's something more serious. There's something more socially engaging about documentaries than whatever the fuck else you're making.
Right. Reality isn't actually real in a way. You know what I mean? Like that Hollywood mentality around it.
Yeah. But in the end, that's what they wind up making. They wind up making a documentary which could actually be used for social good. Like a lot of other documentaries are, and that's why they have that high regard. But yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
great movie.
Yeah, really, really great movie. I will absolutely watch it again as I would. I mean, people are going a little wild, and I think Jordan Peele had a really who knows if how much of this stuff is like planned with publicity and all that stuff. But if he stumbled onto this one, he stumbled onto it really well, which was there was some quote where somebody was going around Twitter saying essentially Jordan Peele is now officially the greatest horror director of all time. and he was like, and his response was like, delete your account or something. I forget. It was something like that.
No, everybody else was saying delete your account. Jordan Peele said, I will not stand for John Carpenter slander.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because obviously Jordan Peele has had a great 3-film run so far. I think Us is maybe the weakest of the 3 so far, but
I liked Us better than this one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Well, I really like this movie, and incredibly well written. But I don't know that it was quite as impressive of a directorial performance for him, or a directorial job compared to some of the other ones. But I think it was just more the nature of how it was shot and where it was shot.
It's very open and very flat. I think what you get out of Peele as a director in this film is like the performances are great. There's so many nice little things. Like there's one scene where I forget who it is, but somebody's trying to tell OJ something like super important, super urgent, and he just says, "Yep."
Yeah, he's a great character. It's a great. There was no bad performances in this movie, I don't think. So I can't. I guess compared to Us, which was so much more intimate,
very striking. That's very striking.
I felt like it actually had more terror, and even maybe when I felt like, okay, maybe I should have made this comparison earlier, whereas I felt like even the beginning of this film had this whole American Horror Story where the first 5 episodes are terrifying, and then you find out the plot and you're no longer scared, and you just learn going along with the story.
Now it's a big budget sci-fi flick,
now,
kind of thing.
Now I'm just following along and I'm here for it. So whereas I felt like Us was like had more terror throughout it, you know, overall.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, and I agree with that. I guess my feelings towards us as far as shortcomings is like, so this film takes its time and explains everything really well and sets everything up really well, and even gives you like a good chunk of misdirection of thinking like Jupe is either a villain or an alien, or, you know, you have a time for that. Whereas Us has such a, like, it's such a weird underground subplot thing, and I just don't feel like it's explained as well, and the impact doesn't hit as right.
So Us is just such an ambitious movie, like that it's almost hard to write yourself out of that corner you've wrote yourself, or you
needed another half hour to explain it.
I don't know what it is about Jordan Peele's films, so like I'm still just like eager to keep witnessing and experiencing whatever he puts out, and maybe it's even goes as far back as like Key and Peele type stuff, like where I'm like, that was a brilliant fucking show, so it was hilarious, and now we get to experience this whole other element where he does it very well, like higher tiered than I would probably put a lot of horror movies. Like I mean, it's all in the originality and probably this perspective. I mean, especially with Get Out, like there's definitely films that existed before Get Out that were about like replacing brains, you know, and transferring personalities. Those existed for sure, but never in the way it was conceptualized in that film. Us, you know, it's crazy ambitious. It's, you know, there's a lot going on, and I think he had his own vision, but for me, it didn't translate as well, but it's still fine. And then like this film, it has such great, just the way characters are set up, the way everything is told and interwoven. Like we're talking about how there's all these themes about Hollywood, but then there's also just like a lot of themes about outsiderism, you know, of like being an outsider, like, cause you know, Emerald and OJ, they live on this, you know, distant ranch, and they're separated from the Hollywood system. They're not a part of it. So and then also just like literally talk about the social commentary of that being them being black versus like working with majority of a white staff. But even just like, I think that allows us to have a little bit more insight into the relationship between like OJ and even understanding this predator a little bit more, talking about that outsiderism. Like, I think he just like had this ability to get more instinctually connected with the things he's worked with, which I also was from, I think, working with horses the way he did too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a horse boy, guys.
Horses are dangerous. Horses will kill you.
Yeah, that's why Meg's so smitten with OJ's character. It's just
that's only part of it. That is only part of it. You have no idea.
There's a horse boy for every horse girl, Meg. Don't worry.
If OJ can tame a horse, he can definitely tame a Meg. So if he can tame a horse, you can definitely tame a what was a bog something? Damn it, I blew bog
it.
Witch.
What was it? A bog witch.
Bog hag.
Bog hag.
Dang it, I couldn't think of bog hag. I blew the joke. All right.
If you can tame a horse, you can tame a bog hag.
it's oh god.
If I ever get on a dating app again, that's what I'm gonna say.
How has Bog Hag Summer went, by the way? We haven't done an update on Bog Hag Summer in a while.
Dry.
That is the last thing you want Bog Hag Summer to be. Oh man, you gotta go get some damn bush apple then.
You know what? I went to the get-go near my grandma's
Bog Hag Summer been dry.
It's just such the truth.
Oh, that's an unsuccessful Bog Hag Summer. That's a shame.
Life is sad.
It's not over. It ain't over.
It's not over.
It ain't over till the Bog Hag.
It's not over until Halloween. Let's be real.
Is that when Bog Hag Summer's officially over? All right. Well, like I said, go check out Nope, guys. Really, really, as you, I'm sure you're already aware, quite a fantastic flick. Hopefully you watched it before you listen to this.
Yeah.
And didn't just fucking spoil the entire thing.
Yeah, you wackadoo.
You goddamn jag off. But yeah, so tune back in next week for another little mini-sode where we're going to have a guest on, actually, which should be really, really fun. And then we are going to... yes, it is a cowboy. I mean, I'm sure he'd wear a cowboy hat for you if you asked him. But yeah, that should be a lot of fun. And we are also going to discuss, where we're going to announce rather, what our picks are going to be for our showdown episode for the month of September, once again, which is Satanic Panic. So if you've got some damn suggestions for us, shoot them over that way. Anything else, guys? Anything else I'm forgetting?
No, that's it. It's all good.
All right, guys, go out there this week. And you know what? If you're a horse girl, if you're a horse boy, or if you don't, associate with any horse genders.
Your horse day?
Yeah, if you're a horse day, I hope you find your corresponding horse day.
This is not Delilah. Why are you talking like this is Delilah?
Bye.
Bling bling.